browser, it's called an. So when you are a client, you have an HTTP request that goes through your browser via your internet service provider. In reference to your HTTP request, the server who has access to that particular website or server who is the master of that particular folder responds with an HTTP response. Now, while this communication between these two objects goes on, ये दोनों के बीच communication आपका active है. At that point, there is no way wherein the content by default is encoded. The content travels in plain text. Are you with me?
Yes,
the content travels
Yes,
in
sir.
plain text. That means if Parvez Farooqi enters his user ID as Parvez Farooqi, which is already registered, and a password called hello at 101, it's for sure that Alice and Bob are two people who are communicating, and Eve would surely be able to see how this confidential communication is going on. That means the biggest problem that we now face is there is no confidentiality. Right? No confidentiality is available. That means there is a problem. Between two communicators, like here, consider client as Alice, consider server as Bob. Whatever they talk, someone else knows. A very important attribute of security and privacy is when two parties communicate, no one else should be able to decipher, no one else should be able to know what is going on. So HTTP fails at that instance itself. Now, if we come here, come back, see the difference. I mean, it's not a huge difference, but there is a by default encryption service that can be embedded with the web server, that can be shared with the web server to be able to ensure a better communication in form of something called a secure HTTP. A secure HTTP means an SSL, secure socket layer, or an advanced version of it, which is known as a transport layer security, SSL or TLS layer. So if you see the difference here, it was an HTTP, it's an HTTPS here, right? So, I mean, what good in the world did it do? If you see here, if I have already taken a service called HTTPS, by default, it provides you with a 128-bit end-to-end encryption layer. Now, end-to-end encryption means once your data starts to move out from a logical port, the content gets encrypted, it travels over the web, it reaches the web server. The HTTP request is an HTTPS request now. So between the browser and the server, the content travels in an encrypted manner. So your username and password are encrypted. And as I said, we take a very simple example. P is replaced by caps Q, A by B, R by S, V, W, E, F, Z, A, F, G, A, B, R. What will get replaced by R? I mean,
Yes.
what will we are replaced with? S U by V K by K will be replaced by M J K L and I by J, right? So I decided to replace the small characters, say for example, your SSL ensured the Caesar cipher, just for an example. Then again, this H is replaced by I, E by F, L, M, M, O, P, W, X, at the rate. As of now, I don't know. At the rate is replaced by, say, small a, right? Because we haven't taken care of any special character in Caesar cipher. And 101, no, we haven't taken care of. But let's say it goes the way like this. So to take a classical example, the content that travels over an HTTPS connection, the credentials will travel like this. So now the adversary is not able to immediately identify, like, I mean, it was so easy here. Everything was in plain text. Here, the content has been encrypted. So the adversary will have to work a bit, will have to work hard to be able to decipher the message. Are you with me?
Yes,
Is
sir.
it clear?
Yes, sir.
So by default, there is no security, but as an additional service, we could always take an end-to-end encryption. So if you take example of your WhatsApp, WhatsApp always tells you, we provide you with an end-to-end encryption. Do you remember this? आप लोगों को पता
Yes.
है ना, बताता है, वो हमेशा
हाँ
बताता है.
सर.
Yes, sir.
We provide an end-to-end. So that end-to-end encryption is a higher version of SSL, which is called transport layer security, TLS. Is this clear? But still, you guys are programmers. As a programmer or as an owner of the website, it is your responsibility to ensure that the content that your client sends towards you, understanding you to be the destination, the person who designs or develops this particular website or a web application has to ensure encryption, which is not possibly available directly, right? Now, there are three important terms that we need to remember while we talk about security. To be specific, when we talk about web security, when we talk about web security, you have to understand it's implicit that apps would also get covered, because ultimately through some interface like web view, the content is rendered in the app by the server. So remember this triangle, right? I'll call it a triangle. Remember something called CIA, right? Usually by CIA, right, we will fall for a trap like Central Investigating Agency, right? But in case of security, this won't stand true. You have to remember that CIA, C stands for confidentiality, I for integrity, and A for access control. And insecurity and privacy, this is known as a CIA triangle. So just let me brush up These three things, and like our first session that we had yesterday, we will directly move. What is confidentiality? I mean, can anyone just make a guess? What is confidentiality?
To make anything secret. Oh, sorry, to keep anything secret.
To keep anything secret. Okay. Anything else? What is confidential? You have to remember that there are two parties involved. See, we will be all throughout the series that we are going to talk about. In fact, it's not two parties, it will be three parties, right? And these three parties are hypothetical terms. Assume that client, that's you, is Alice. Now remember that there are hundreds of thousands of clients towards a website. आपको याद रखना है इस बात को. You have to remember that there are multiple clients who will be logging themselves to a particular website or web application, right? So client is Alice, server is Bob, and there is someone who is known as an adversary is Eve, right? In plain terms, we understand adversary to be an opportunistic opponent who is either interested in Bob, that means he is interested in breaking down the server, or he is more interested in Alice, that means he is more interested to get some information from the browser. Now, this is the scenario that we are going to play with. We are going to talk about when we talk about web and network security, right? So, the first term that we came across, confidentiality. When do we keep things confidential? Right? It's a question that I throw towards you. What do you think? When do you want things to be confidential? When a conversation is secretive. When a conversation is secret. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. So confidential क्या होता है भाई? जब आप when you are able to send your username and password across towards Bob, that means towards the server, Alice as a client enters her username and password into the text boxes, clicks on the send button, and that content travels towards Bob. But Eve, who is an adversary, is already sitting there somewhere on the pipe with some network tool, for example, a Wireshark, that keeps looking at what is being sent by Alice to Bob. That means Eve looks at everything being sent by one or more client towards the server, because Eve is more interested in getting further information, and Eve is able to break into the server and ensure that the server, somehow the reputation of the server gets damaged. So as a programmer, it is your duty to see that the confidentiality of your website, your web application, or a form within the web application or a website is ensured to be encoded, right? So first object is confidentiality. Second one is integrity. What do you think? What integrity would stand for? Any thoughts? Any ideas? Anybody? You could take an informed or an uninformed guess, not a problem.
The quality of being honest.
Quality of being honest. Okay. In generic terms, that's correct. Right. Let me give you a very simple example. Say I'm a professor somewhere and I am affiliated to a university. The university assigns me with a confidential task of drawing a paper, say a paper on web security. Since I am experienced individual as well, I teach web security, both two things together. Now, what is my duty? My duty is to ensure there is a complete confidentiality maintained while I draw the paper and submit it. What is integrity? Integrity is an attribute. Integrity is a property that ensures whatever is getting transferred remains intact. It doesn't change while you do something. It doesn't change while it travels. It doesn't change while it reaches the service provider, while it reaches the server. So integrity is a quality which ensures there is no change to the object that is being transferred between a client and a server. So if I take a very simple example, if I am drawing a web security paper for the university semester exam, it becomes my duty to see that there is not one single question that I discuss with my students for the examination preparation. So that shows an individual to be a person of integrity. Are you with me? Right? So here comes integrity, something that doesn't change its form. And then there is something called availability. What is availability? Availability is a property, is an attribute which ensures that the website, the web application, whatever you call, or an app always remains available. It shouldn't happen that at 9:50 p.m. Pervez requests a website called www.gmail.com. He is able to log in. He is able to access his own mailbox. And after half an hour, when Pervez again tries to log in, the website is not available to him due to any reason. That shouldn't happen. It is something like your website is 100% available to all the clients, irrespective of the geographic location. Right? So it shouldn't happen if I log in from US, this website doesn't look same or some pages are not available. Since it's a website, whenever a client logs, whenever a client requests that, it should ensure that the website is available 100% of the time. So an expectation is your web application should be 100% up and running. I hope you people have understood that it is very important to ensure these three attributes, right, in order to be able to have a secure web. आपको secure web को secure रखने के लिए, to ensure that the web that you have developed, the website that you have developed remains secure, you have to ensure confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So if you check the example that Hostinger gives on its website, just see, secure क्यों नहीं है? Why it isn't secure? Data such as a user password and a user ID is visible to anyone. So something which is private, a moment that is private should never be visible to an unauthorized individual. Who is an unauthorized individual? Someone who is not designated to be the party to do that particular task. Are you people with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is everything clear to you? If there is an iota of doubt, you can raise your question. Now, why I explained or why we discussed this by SSL Lelia, we took an SSL and now we are secure. Never assume that, right? Never assume you are secure because you don't know. You are depending on a third party. You are depending on an SSS encryption layer by paying some price. Who knows? Someone else already has a way out, fine, to circumvent the default security methodology. So when you think of developing your applications, you see that security becomes one of the very important attribute, that is ensuring a complete CIA to its clients, because ultimately the customer is the most important entity that we have whom we are serving. All right. So before we move ahead, do we have any question? If we have any questions, I am there to answer. If I cannot answer that today, probably I'll come back tomorrow. You like what we saw yesterday. Just see, whenever a site displays this symbol, you have to understand that you cannot talk private. It is similar to something like you are at a railway station and you are trying to access a Wi-Fi that is available at the railway station. So then at that point, you cannot expect a complete secrecy or a complete confidentiality of what you are doing. Remember that very well. If we go a bit down, just see HTTP plus SSL. So the first S is attached with this, right? So now I won't talk much about that. I'll come back to what we have been doing. So how to ensure security of a website or a web application or an app that you as a programmer or as me as a programmer develop, right? Question mark. How do we do that? Shall we take multiple layers of security from third parties? If you'll be hosting your website, you will understand you have to pay some money annually to be able to have that SSL. But still, you are not confident of your CIA, right? Because you don't know there is some bug within the mechanism. You are not sure. So, if we look at that, what do? We have to ensure secrecy through, one of the way is secrecy through cryptography. right? So cryptography is a branch of mathematics that ensures confidentiality, integrity, right, and availability via some known or unknown cryptography algorithm. Remember that. Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is there any doubt that you think things are not consonant with? I hope things are very clear to you all.
સર અગર
Yes,
આપણે
sir.
ડિસ્પોઝિબલ બ્રાઉઝર બનાવીએ તો
Yes,
આપણે ડિસ્પોઝિબલ બ્રાઉઝર બનાવીએ તો
disposable means
કે 10-15 મિનિટ માટે ઈ ફરીથી પાછું આપણે એક્સેસ કરવાનું અને
right.
હિસ્ટ્રી એકદમ હે ને શું કહેવાય જે ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન હોય ને એની પાસે જ રહેવી જોઈએ હિસ્ટ્રી
But
બ્લોક
so there is a problem. How do you trust that some organization is not rogue? ROGUE. Ano matlab, the meaning of this word is, how do you understand? How do you think someone who is taking access to your data is good, is fair? You don't know, right? Someone else identifies some information and is actually able to gain access to that information, and someday that become your adversary, right? Today's friend may be tomorrow's adversary. Remember this in security. There is also a saying in security, as I said yesterday, a secret remains secret between two. Remember this, when one of them is dead. Are you with me? This line
Yes, sir.
itself
Yes,
shows,
sir.
this line itself shows that your own secret is your own secret. But here in computer science, when two people are communicating, the secret is shared. What is the difference? The secret is a shared secret. Has anyone not understood these two things?
Sir, I didn't understood it.
Who didn't understand?
Harsh.
Harsh. What you didn't understand? Line number 1 or line number 2?
Line number 2, sir.
Line number 2. Okay. There in security, there goes a saying, कॉन्फिडेंशियल चीजें दो लोगों के बीच तभी कॉन्फिडेंशियल रहेंगी जब उनमें से एक नहीं होगा. I'll give you an example. Say there is a secret between two people, right? Alice and Bob. Somehow it so happens that the secret that was shared between these two people has suddenly come out in open, and everybody else knows. Now the problem is, Alice says she didn't leak the confidential information, private talk. Bob says I didn't leak the private talk. So then, if they both did not, who else did that? Are you with me? तो दो लोगों के बीच का जो शेयर्ड सीक्रेट होता है वो तभी सीक्रेट रहेगा जब एक के पास होगा. Got it?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. Harsh, I mean, are you clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
All right. So now So cryptography is a branch of mathematics. It's a mathematical science. And when we depend on math in computer science, we feel more secure, right? So what do we do now? In order to be able to perform cryptography, you have to remember these two words, AN and DE. When I join, right now for the sake of convenience, I am putting a hyphen in between. So there is something called encrypt, or I could say encode. The reverse of that is decrypt or decode. Are you with me? So
Yes,
whenever
sir.
we will convert, this means that as a programmer, you provide a facility. You write your program such that whenever a client, means Alice, sends a confidential information, your program encrypts that. So I can call plain text as PT, encrypted text as ET, right? And decrypted text as DT. Now, encrypt and decrypt, encode, both of these words are same. Plain text is usually readable. See, my name is Parvez Farooqi. What do you understand out of this statement? Someone says his name is Parvez, first name is Parvez, last name is Farooqi. We all understand English, and therefore we can decipher that this guy is talking about his name. But when this guy says, when I am logging, my username is Parvar, Parvfar, and my password is PFAR at 110, and all in caps. So these two things should never move in plain text. They have to get encrypted and then only travel. So to do that, we have to execute something which is known as an encryption algorithm. Like, can I request Sahil, if you want to continue with second session, shall we have one more link once this finishes? Right?
No, sir, I am trying
Okay.
to purchase a free trial of 30 days, so we will continue on this meeting.
All right. Okay. So when you have this encryption layer, encryption algorithm, what will it look at? Just let me briefly explain you people what is encryption. So encoding or encryption is a mechanism that is built, designed to convert a plain text to a ciphertext. Now ये दोनों words का मतलब आपको समझ में आ गया? What is PT? What is plain text? Something which is readable and can be understood easily. What is CT? Something which is jumbled. I'll show you the example that I wrote above, right? We wrote something somewhere. Yeah. Right. So it was Parvez Farooq. Assume at the top, this was Parvez Farooqi. Just an assumption in small, right? And whatever be the password, like A, B, like something before I, right? E, F, G, H, I, whatever. So, right? Something before it. So this is plain text. This is ciphertext, right? So what is an encryption algorithm? An algorithm is a mechanism that converts plain text to ciphertext. And where it does this at the client side. That means when a user logs in and provides her credentials, plain text will first be converted to ciphertext, and only then it is going to travel, right? Now, this process of doing this task is known as encryption. Now the content has already reached the destination. सर्वर के पास कंटेंट पहुंच गया, यूजर नेम पासवर्ड पहुंच गया, तो अब सर्वर के एंड पे रिवर्स प्रोसेस होना है, कन्वर्जन फ्रॉम साइफर टेक्स्ट टू प्लेन टेक्स्ट. वो कहां होगा? एट द सर्वर साइड, राइट? दिस इज कॉल्ड decryption, right? So how does this happen? सबसे बड़ा सवाल यह है कि प्लेन टेक्स्ट से साइफर टेक्स्ट और साइफर टेक्स्ट से प्लेन टेक्स्ट, ये दोनों चीजें होती कैसे है? हाउ डू दे हैपन? फॉर दैट दे विल ऑलवेज प्रोवाइड अ की, राइट? So let me just again do a recap. My name is Parv.